So I went for a drive tonight and I went out for dinner at a nice restaurant in the Niagara region. It's called George's Greek Village. It's in St. Catharines, Ontario, and it's right adjacent to the Welland Canal. It's a really great spot for watching ships come by. In about a week and a half from now, cruise ships are going to start transiting the Welland Canal. It's a great place for ship watching, and I thought now would be a great time to talk about the Welland Canal and the cruising season coming up. It's hard to believe that less than 2 months ago I was down at Lake Erie, Crystal Beach. Lake Erie was 95% frozen, so Lake Erie is one of the great lakes of the world, and this was an unusually cold winter and it was impossible for cruise ships to transit during that time. Not that you really want to do a lot of sightseeing in, say, February. It's not very scenic in my opinion. Everything's going to be gray. There's no leaves on the trees. But I would say around mid-May is when it really starts to look pretty outside. So the trees are filling in, the flowers are out, and that goes right into the fall. So the cruise season starts around mid-April and it goes into October. This year, this season, 2026, there are 4 major cruise lines that are doing the Great Lakes run that transit the Welland Canal. Those 4 cruise lines are Viking, Ponant, Victory Cruises, and Pearl Seas. If you want to see them throughout the season, they'll be going up and down the canal. You can check out the cruise ship schedule for the city of Port Colborne. That shows what days they're docked, and you can actually see them from right across the canal. Usually when those ships are docked, the excursions are taking the passengers to Niagara Falls or Niagara-on-the-Lake, or you could do your own thing as well. And then also when you're docked, after your excursions, you have time to walk around Port Colborne along the street there. There's some shops and there's restaurants. If you're not on the ships, it's still great to go sightseeing there, and you can watch the ships in different locations. You could just go see the ships when they're docked, so they're not moving. During canal days, there's usually a festival. It's usually around the first weekend in August, and they have a parade of boats one evening and fireworks, so that's a lot of fun. There's usually a ship docked there. I think it's usually like Pearl Seas Mist. I've seen that ship there a few times. If you want to just see the ships transiting the Welland Canal, that's also something you could do. You have a few options. So one is you can watch in town. So Port Colborne is a great place to do that. But there's other locations. So you can actually just pull up your vehicle along, I don't want to call it a service road, but sometimes there's roads that run adjacent to the canal where the ships are actually transiting. So it's no problem to just pull over, and sometimes there's parking lots. But then there's actually viewing centers. So there are 2 good ones that I would recommend. One is at Lock 7 in Thorold, and they have like a little maritime museum there. There's another viewing center which is around Lock 3, and they actually have a viewing platform. I don't know how many stairs there are, but you know, there's quite a few stairs. There's no elevator. You could go up high and you're kind of like perched up and you could see the ship. You can either watch the ships rise or you can watch them lower down to the next level, because they're going up or down at that lock. There's also a museum there and a little gift shop, and they sell some, you know, maritime books and things like that. That's worth checking out. The indoor facilities and the museum and gift shop, you know, the hours might be till say 5 o'clock, but then in the evenings you can kind of go later if you want. I don't know if the viewing center actually closes or if it's open 24/7, but that's a really interesting, neat place to go, especially, you know, if you're making your way to the Niagara region. In terms of Great Lake cruises, like I mentioned, you have 4 choices. You've got Viking, Victory, Pearl Seas, and Ponant. Some of these ships, like the Viking ships and Ponant, these ships are more of an expedition style ship, so they're not like really cruise ships that you see. I mean, you might see them cruising in the Caribbean, but differently than some of the big cruise ships. So in terms of Viking and Ponant, they may just have been in Antarctica. I know the Viking has a couple ships that they send to Antarctica, and then they do the Great Lakes season, and Ponant same. In terms of Pearl and Victory, those are different style ships, so it all depends what you want. I did take a look at some of the cruise line offerings in the past for the Great Lakes, And I was finding that the price per night is about $750 US or around 1,000 Canadian. And that's basically the entry level cabins. Most of those cruises run maybe like 9, 10, 11 days, sometimes a little bit longer. So that just gives you an idea how much they cost. And of course, those prices are subject to change, and they always are changing. But if Great Lakes cruising is something you're interested in as a passenger, check it out. And if you're just curious to see what a ship looks like, you can check that out too. The Welland Canal is part of the St. Lawrence Seaway, and basically it's a major waterway that connects North America to the world. So this is a huge shipping route. It's very important for Canada and US, and a lot of cargo ships go by. So normally it's the cargo ships that have been using the canal. They're in the 197th season right now. This is the 4th iteration of the canal that the ships are using. And well, like, that number's debatable because in the 70s they actually diverted the Welland Canal for shipping purposes going through downtown Welland. They built an extension or a diversion, but it's still part of that 4th version of the canal. So now the ships kind of divert outside of the city limits just because it was causing a lot of chaos with traffic. And so that old bit of the canal that the ships were using has now been turned into a recreational waterway. That's great for the community. It's not really meant for motorized sports, but it's more, you know, recreational activities like canoeing, kayaking. There's a float fest, usually in July. That's my favorite, rowing. If you're a rower, it's a world-class rowing facility. There's a few clubs that row in the Welland Canal regularly. Some other things that you might want to know about the Welland Canal is it was basically built because it helps ship transit in between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, because you can't just go down the Niagara River. Obviously, you can't send a ship over Niagara Falls. That won't work, and nor can you go up Niagara Falls. So the Welland Canal was built. The rise is 99.4 meters, and the ships will go through 8 different locks to get from one lake to the other. The Great Lakes have about 20% of the world's freshwater surface water. It's very important for North America in terms of jobs, the economy, but it's also the gateway to the world. If you want to do some Great Lakes cruising, some of the other cruise ports that they're going to hit is Toronto, and I think there's they're calling on a port in Muskoka, and then in the US, you know, you've got like Chicago, Duluth, Sault Ste. Marie. I'm Cruising Jules. I hope to see you in another video. Don't forget to hit like or subscribe.